Over the course of his 18-year career as the 1982 Rookie of the Year, 1986 Silver Slugger, and 5-time All-Star, he had 444 stolen bases. But this did come with the price of many upper and lower extremity skin tears. Yet, he landed on the disabled list only once as a result of his durability. In his first 8 years as a professional athlete, he won 2 World Series championships wearing uniform number 3 with the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is also for wound prevention. Wearing uniform number 3, and today he is considered among the greatest second basemen in team history. In 1991 with the Yankees, he had fewer errors and a better fielding percentage than the second base Gold Glove Award winner Roberto Alomar, and Steve will tell you more about how he overcame obstacles to accomplish this achievement. And he has carried his winning attitude with him off the field and into success in the business world. As a political nominee for the 1996 California State Assembly with an endorsement from the White House. Today, he's an active Fox News and MSNBC contributor, as well as an entrepreneur, certified financial consultant, and vice president for the Royal Bank of Canada. I am very proud to introduce someone who is willing to share with us his top 3 ways to becoming a champion in business through focused perseverance, teamwork, and character. With that, I'd like to bring up Steve Sachs.
Hello. Mr. Posey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for having me here tonight. You know what? It's great to be back in Dodger country. I grew up and I still live in Sacramento, we know who everybody likes up there, right? And I grew up as a product of that, I must say. I grew up a big Giants fan. Loved the Giants growing up, and I'll get to that in just a second. We got a Giants fan right over here. Right now. Let's just get a barometer. How many people here like the Giants at all? Tom, I want to thank you for that very fine education. I want to thank you for that so much. And, there are a few things I'd like to share with you tonight. And I feel very honored to be coming here and speak on behalf of this great company. Some things I'd like to share with you amongst the things that Tom had mentioned. Also were leadership, along with overcoming those obstacles and motivation. 3 things that are also very important to me growing up, and which these things still stick with me today very much. I still rely on these things in business. I feel that there are so many parallels that you can draw with business that supersede any problems you may have or whatever field that you're in. It just doesn't matter. I found that there's common denominators in everything we do in sports, and certainly in business as well. I would like to give you a little idea of what it was like for me in my earlier years, so you can kind of get an idea how this is all going to wrap up. As I said, I grew up in Sacramento. I grew up on a farm. Grew up in a rural farming district. It was a great way to grow up. I have 1 brother and 3 sisters, and we're all very, very close. Growing up on that farm had a lot of challenges, and I can tell you that at a young age we had many responsibilities. Lots of things to do, getting up early in the morning, and that's why it's so good for me as a wealth manager now, getting up at 5:30 in the morning for that stock market that opens at 6. I was always up early in the morning on the farm, doing all these chores and whatnot. So it was a great way to grow up, and the leader, of course, when I was growing up, was my dad. My mom and dad were tremendous leaders for me in shaping the characteristics of all of my brothers and sisters, and me as well. And my dad was the kind of guy who was a very tough person. My dad made us very tough. I had an interesting dichotomy in my household, if you will. My dad was a very tough German that ruled the house with an iron fist. And sometimes he flaunted it. Tough guy, but really a leader, a guy that led by example, a guy that was always punctual, a guy that really did it, not by talking about it, but he was always there as an example for us kids. And that's one thing I really admire about my father. Now, my mother on the other side, being the Italian, and the very compassionate Italian. I see somebody raising his hands over here, Italian, all right. Made it pretty interesting with my mom and dad around the household. But I can tell you one thing. I got an example of my dad who absolutely put my mom on a pedestal. I love that about the way my dad treated my mom. He treated her with the utmost respect, and us kids certainly got a great view of what that was all about. We grew up a very Catholic family. My brother and I were altar boys for 4 or 5 years, and they had to kick us out because we had to go get a job. So, we had this dream of playing Major League Baseball. My brother and I had the same dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player. And I can tell you, I talk to kids all the time, and I tell them, I was just like you. I can see myself in these kids today, where you had something that was just a burning desire to play and to do it. And I was no different than any of these other kids, because that's all I had. We grew up very meager. We didn't have any extras in my family, although I didn't know it. We had 3 square meals a day. My mom was an awesome mom. And, we didn't know that we were hurting for money or anything like that. But, our family was very tight. And the dream of baseball really galvanized the whole family. We always had this dream of maybe the boys would someday do something in baseball. And so, as the time went on, we kept playing and kept getting better. My brother and I played in Little League Baseball. We played in American Legion Baseball together. We played in city leagues together. We played in high school together. And then, as the time went on, my brother and I, fortunately, went on to play in the major leagues and the minor leagues together, all through our lives. So we've been very fortunate. Matter of fact, my brother lives across the street from me right now. So. But I got to tell you, I remember watching games with my dad and my brother, watching the giant Dodger rivalries, watching these games. Y'all remember Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek used to call the games? Oh yeah. So we were watching these games, and I remember just watching when they had the camera behind home plate, the ball coming in there. I used to get up like in front of the television, see that ball come in, and think, I think I could hit that. And we were watching the game, and I remember telling my dad, I said, Dad, if I ever got drafted by the Dodgers, I wouldn't play for the Dodgers for $1 million. Steven Sachs, circa 1968. And then, 10 years later, it took $985,000 less for me to sign with the Dodgers. Steven Sachs, circa 1978. So there I was, I got drafted by the Dodgers, and I'll tell you what, I was just absolutely elated. I did want to get drafted by the Giants, but what the heck, I was going to be a ball player. Matter of fact, I worked at a restaurant called the Pheasant Club. I went there just for my birthday the other day. I had 70 people, my family and friends, came to celebrate my birthday. It was wonderful. And at that restaurant, when I got drafted, I called the owners of that restaurant up, and I said, it was a Wednesday, and I said, look, I'm not coming to wash dishes tonight, folks, because I am a professional now. And it was pretty interesting because that night, the scout comes to my house to sign me up to go play with the Dodgers. I got to tell you what my mom did. Now, this is pretty interesting. My mom, being the tough, effervescent Italian that she is, the scout comes to the house to sign me, and my mom just lit into this guy. Now, let me tell you, my brother was setting records up and down the state of California in junior college. There's a college outside of Sacramento called Casunas River College. And my brother was really lighting it up there. He was a fantastic player. As I said, he set the record in doubles in the state. He had the most hits in a year. He was just really tearing it up. And for some reason, he wasn't drafted. So the scout comes to the house to sign me, and my mom tore into the scout. She says, what's the matter with you? You don't take my other boy. David is better than Steven. You got it wrong. What is going on here? My other boy is great. What are you doing? So, what happened is I signed my contract. The next morning at 6 a.m. on an Air Canada flight to Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. And that's where I started my minor league career, up in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. 18 years old and scared to death. Ran about $1,000 phone bill the first month. Brought my high school yearbook with me. And very homesick. Never been away from home, so I was very homesick. However, that was about to change. Because 2 days after I had been staying at the Heidelberg Inn in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, knock at the door. I opened the door, and there's my brother.